glimpse of what humanity's future might hold, a researcher created a mouse utopia. The mice had unlimited food, water, no predators, and enough space for thousands of mice to live in little mice apartments. They started with 8 mice, but 560 days into the experiment, they reproduced to 2,200 mice. And as society grew, strange things started happening, and the utopia turned into hell. There were far more mice than meaningful social roles, and they all went mad. Many formed gangs and attacked others for seemingly no reason, even eating them. Dominant males would try and stand guard outside their homes, but there were non-stop intrusions. The females got so stressed, they stopped parenting, and the infant mortality rate shot up. The population started declining, and the mice born into the chaos couldn't form social bonds at all. The males compulsively groomed themselves all day, and the females stopped getting pregnant. The society completely collapsed, and nearly 5 years after the experiment was started, the colony went extinct.
Shalom. Giving all praises to Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to you, hopefully elect. I'm your brother Yahweh from Great Millstone, Orlando, fellow Doomsday Prophet. All right, and there's a lot said in this about a minute clip of this test, experiment that they conducted on these mice, which, it all sounds too familiar, because Esau, being the wicked that he is, and how he searches these things out, and it goes to show you that, it's all of the Lord at the end of the day. Like it tells you in Revelation 6, which I'm going to get, how basically everything that Esau has has been given to him, because Esau, he's not so bright. All right. Again, the power of the Lord, the Lord raised the bases of men up. All right. These men went from grunting. All right. Walking on all fours, crawling on all fours, to, wearing 3-piece suits, So again, it goes to show you that it's all of the Lord at the end of the day. And again, Esau, he's not so bright. Even when it comes to his wickedness, his abominations, he doesn't even, he's not even an originator when it comes to that. He even stole his wickedness, copied his wickedness. So Esau, he's not so bright. You see, but again, the top wicked elites through the power of the left hand. All right. Again, Esau, he searches these things out because he needs that order out of chaos. All right. And like I said, a lot can be dissected from this minute clip, And I want to first say, copyright disclaimer. I'm not making any type of monetary gain off this video. Strictly for informational purposes. Fair use, fair use. All right, I'm going to play that back real quick.
Formed gangs and attacked others for seemingly. To get a glimpse of what humanity's future might hold, a researcher created a mouse utopia. The mice had unlimited food, water, no predators, and enough space for thousands of mice to live in little mice apartments. They started with 8 mice, but 560 days into the experiment, they reproduced to 2,200 mice. And as society grew, strange things started happening, and the utopia turned into hell. There were far more mice than meaningful social roles, and they all went mad. Many formed gangs and attacked others for seemingly no reason, even eating them. Dominant males would try and stand guard outside their homes, but there were non-stop intrusions. The females got so stressed, they stopped parenting, and the infant mortality rate shot up. The population started declining, and the mice born into the chaos couldn't form social bonds at all. The males compulsively groomed themselves all day, and the females stopped getting pregnant. The society completely collapsed, and nearly 5 years after the experiment was started, the colony went extinct.
So there it is again. And it's going to get far more worse because, these people, they speak in a sense of, oh, this could happen, the possibility. But this is going to be everyone's reality. All right. And this somewhat of a utopian, I can't even call it a utopian, the kingdom will be more utopian than anything. All right. But, just the simple fact that everyone has the freedom, the ability to roam about, do as thou wilt, You could still go to the grocery store and things of that nature. Again, the reality of it is, America is going to be very dystopian. Which dystopian is the opposite of utopian. All right, the utopia. Again, the kingdom of heaven is going to be more so utopia. But America is going to be, the environment is going to be real dystopian. All right. So you see, Esau, he conducts all these experiments. All right, these beta tests. All right. You have these power outages every now and then in different places, and all these things going on. Esau, he's conducting these experiments. He wants to see how the people are going to react. All right. Because, again, through the power of the left hand, Esau, he's going to create environment that's so dog-like. All right. Eventually the people are going to be at each other's throats. All right. Friends are going to become foes, neighbor against neighbor. And all the things that we read about pertain to the scriptures. All right. In these different captivities. All right. When the Lord sent these, ancient empires, the Assyrians from the Babylonians and so on and so forth, and though, or nevertheless, we can apply these to the times that we're living in now, because that which is then is now. All right. So this is going to very well be the future, the environment of Babylon. All right. So in Ezekiel, Ezekiel 21, the scriptures talk about how, because now again, you look out the windows, right? You got beautiful sunshine, right? Basically, it's business as usual. You hear the trains going by, people getting up, getting ready for work, the school buses. But the time is going to come when, hey, looking out the windows, man, it's going to be dangerous to even look out the windows. The scriptures say you going to be looking at the windows, and it's going to be dark. Roughly paraphrasing. It's going to be grim, grimy. Like I said, just a dog-eat-dog type of environment. All right. It's not even going to be safe to even look out your window. It's not going to be safe to go outside. You see, so in Ezekiel 7, Ezekiel, well, that's the spirit, because Ezekiel 7, let me go there real quick since the spirit had me say that. Ezekiel 7. Ezekiel 7, I'm going to start at verse 8. Now will I shortly pour out my fury upon thee and accomplish mine anger upon thee. And I will judge thee according to thy ways and will recompense thee for all thine abominations. Because you see Ezekiel 7, Ezekiel 8, when you read the context, man, hey, Jake was just going the hell off, And when you get it up to Ezekiel 9, hey, those angels, man, because that's the thing, man. We all have death angels lurking over us. At any moment, to those of us that know, at any moment, the Lord can punch our ticket. That's why we walk on eggshells. That's why we have the attitude that any day now, any second now. Because when that sudden destruction comes, it's going to catch these people off guard. It's going to catch these people like a thief in the night. Versus those of us, hey, we're prepared, Lord willing. Well, I'm not going to say we're prepared, but hey, it's not going to, because I always liken it to the punch that you don't see coming is usually the ones that knock you out. Versus the punch that you see. Well, what do? You brace for it. Now you're still going to get hit, and it's still going to hurt, but it's not going to affect you as much as if if you don't see the punch coming. So, we see the punch coming, and hey, we're bracing for impact because we're still going to be affected, but it's not going to be nowhere near the level of these people. So back in verse 8, Ezekiel 7 and 8, Ezekiel 7 and 9, and mine eye shall not spare, neither will I have pity. I will recompense thee according to all thy ways and thine abominations that are in the midst of thee. And ye shall know that I am the Lord that smiteth. Like the scripture say, the wages of sin are death. So, the difference is, because we all deserve to die, but the only difference is, Yahushua's blood is going to cover his elect. All right. And in that day, these people, you're not going to, like Apostle Targ says, man, in that day, you're not going to have to question if we're in Jacob's trouble, In that day, you're going to know Yahweh Shemal Shai. Like when those magicians, right, back during the time of ancient Egypt, and the Lord was hitting them with those plagues, right? Basically, those magicians, man, they were forced to acknowledge, hey, this is Yahweh by Shemal Shai. This is Yahweh. All right, so there's not going to be no question in that day that, hey, man, those guys on the street corners, man, hey, those guys were right. And there's ain't going to be no question in that day. And it says a lot, because what is it going to, man, it's just like, what is the Lord going to do? What is he going to bring that's going to force these people into submission? What is he going to do that's going to force these people to acknowledge him? Well, hey, stick around. We're going to find out. It says, behold, the day, is come. The morning is gone forth, and the rod hath blossomed. Pride hath budded. Violence is risen up into a rod of wickedness. None of them shall remain, nor of their multitude, nor any of theirs. Neither shall there be wailing for them. Yeah, because everything is just going to be one big adrenaline rush. It's just going to be chaos on all sides. All hell breaking loose on all sides. All right. And, Esau, again, he's stirring the pot. All right. And I'm always using the example about the hand that shakes the jar. You see, the red ants, the black ants living peaceably. All right. Until the jar gets shaken and both sides blame one another. So what do? They attack one another. But no one ever blames the hand that shakes the jar. So you see all these experiments. Again, Esau, he searches, he does a diligent search. So, it's an orchestrated chaos. That way, Esau is justified in bringing in his order. Here it is. They're talking about, Trump is talking about suspending the Horpius, what's it called, man? Look it up real quick. Try to pronounce the shit right. Bear with me. As well as many other bills that Trump is, executive orders and things of that nature that he's signing left and right. Because the stage is being set for chaos. So I'm going to look this up real quick. Bear with me. The Horbeus corpus. And what does that mean? Well, hey, you can just get snatched up without due process. All right. It's just one thing that, the Lord's going to hit these proud Americans with. All right. Scriptures talk about the captivity, those being led into captivity. Families are going to be separated. All right. You know, people getting tossed in you know what camps and so on and so forth. Right. Ezekiel 7. Back in Ezekiel 7. I'm gonna jump to 14. They have blown the trumpet even to make all ready, but none goeth to the battle. For my wrath is upon all the multitude thereof. So you see, because we're sounding the alarm. All right, we are letting you know that the train is coming. But Jacob's more so worried about the tone in which Jacob's speaking. You know, letting you know that the train is coming. You know, get the hell out the way. The train is coming. But Jacob's, mad at the tone in which the message is being presented. You see, so hey, the hell with him. Let him get hit by the train, man. But nevertheless, the sword is without, and the pestilence and the famine within. He that is in the field shall die with the sword, and he that is in the city, famine and pestilence shall devour. So no matter what you do, matter of fact, verse 16. Verse 16, but they that escape of them shall escape, and shall be on the mountains like doves in the valley. All of them mourning everyone for his iniquity. So no matter what you do, no matter where you go, all right, hey, the Lord got something for your ass. It says all hands shall be feeble, and all knees shall be weak as water. They shall also gird themselves with sackcloth, and horror shall cover them, and shame shall be upon all faces, and baldness upon their heads. So you see, all right, and hey, what we're going to say, hey, we told you so. That's all. Hey, we told you so. So from there, going to Ezekiel 21, because this is the vision for America, man. All right. This is what's coming to America. Esau, he's gathering up all this information, studying the tribes. Esau knows where we're at, I mentioned this last week about going into the account with Elisha and how he prayed to the Lord that he show the servant that there's more with us than with them. But when you read the above verses, basically the king of Syria, I do believe it was, he sent spies out to Elisha. He's basically sent an army out to encamp about Elisha. And you can imagine what Esau has now with his technology, because again, they know where brothers are at. You best believe they're watching. They're watching. They know where brothers are at. And that's why it's just a matter of time before the devil comes down with that great wrath and he makes his move. It's only a matter of time. So in Ezekiel 21, so Ezekiel 21. Ezekiel 21:6. Sigh therefore, thou son of man, with the breaking of thy loins, and the bitterness sigh before thy eyes. So you see, because hey, again, we're trying to let you know, listen, hey man, there's a train coming, Now we're not in the business of trying to convince anyone. Hell, we don't know if we're going to make it ourselves, but hey, nevertheless, the Lord, it's the Lord's compassion. He's been long suffering towards a rebellious people. The Lord given every opportunity, more than enough opportunity, to repent, man, and get on the winning team. Because man, what's coming? Hey, there's no day like it, and so much that Michael the archangel is going to have to come on our defense. There's never been a time written where Michael the archangel had to stand up. It takes me back to when when Yahushua wept, because he told Jake, hey, the Romans are going to come, The Romans were going to come. They were going to compass about Jerusalem. The Lord told Jake about the siege of Jerusalem before it took place. And, as much as Yahushua was a story man, as focused as Yahushua was on the mission, but still, even with that being said, it's almost like he had a soft spot for Jake, as hard-headed as Jake is, because, hey, it's, you read the account, man, Yahushua, he looked over, he looked at Jake, man, and he wept, because it's like, damn, they really don't know what's getting ready to happen. So it's just like, damn, man, Jake really don't know what's getting ready to happen to him. But, hey, as I always say, better them than us, better them than me, But verse 7, it says, and it shall be when they say unto thee, wherefore sighest thou? Because, hey, Jake is out there, Jake plays too much. Jake is out here fucking around too much, Here it is, we're dead ass serious about this, We're dead ass serious, because it is a matter of life and death, This thing as far as is deadly serious, man. And, Jake thinks that they just don't know, man. They just don't know, So, Jake sees the prophets downtown, they see the prophets out there, and they just, man, ain't no money on that corner, right? Inside joke, it says that thou shalt answer for the tidings, because it cometh, and every heart shall melt, and all hands shall be feeble, and every spirit shall faint, and all knees shall be weak as water. Behold, it cometh, and shall be brought to pass, saith the Lord. So you see, because, you read these scriptures, read it with emphasis, like, hey, man, is the train is coming. The train, hey, is coming full speed, man. Hey, get out the way, But like I said, Jake is more concerned with how the message is being presented. You see, so, hey, man, you like I said, you almost want to feel bad for Jake, but then again, hey, the Lord reminds us why 2/3 got to go. They got to go. But hey, the scriptures talk about how Esau, man, like a lion lurking in the villages. Esau, he's sitting back, he's studying, he's watching, and he's waiting, because it's really the Lord's time. Esau, he's on the Lord's timing. So Revelation 6. Revelation 6 and 3. And when he had opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say, come and see. And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth. And more, this is what Esau's stirring up, that order out of chaos. All right. He's shaking the jar. All right. It says, and that they should kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword. So Esau, he's just creating this, dystopian environment more and more. It is getting more and more impossible to live. Hell, everyone's already on survival mode, but that's becoming, it is getting harder to survive. So, eventually, hey, the whatever it is, that straw to break the camel's back, something's going to happen to where, hey, this is going to be chaos in the streets, total anarchy. All right, people are going to take matters into their own hands. As I always say, people are going to go about it the ski mask way. All right. And this is what Esau is stirring up. All right, strife and contention. All right. Soon everyone's going to be at each other's throats. And with that being said, hey, this is going to justify Esau bringing in his unjust decrees. It's going to justify him bringing in the military. Just a total oh shit, man, what's the word? A tongue twister. Uh, Basically just a military state, totalitarian, if that's the word. But basically just a military type of environment, you know. Everything's tracked, controlled. All right. Again, it's going to be completely dystopian. All right. And you got to picture it, You got to picture it to the best of your ability, Drones flying through the skies, curfews, checkpoints, you know, the whole 9 yards, the whole shebang. You see, I'm gonna jump down. I'm gonna jump down to verse 7. And when he had opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth beast say, "Come and see." And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. And power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth, talking about America. All right. And again, going into Esau and how power was given to him. All right. To kill with sword and with hunger and with death and with the beasts of the earth. So you see, all right, more four sword judgments. All right. You got these heathens over there with this whole, Gaza, the state of Israel. Right. And I'll just say, one side is complaining that, because you have humanitarian crisis going on all over the place. But specifically over there, I'll just say one side is complaining that they're not getting their humanitarian aid. They're starving over there, as well as many other places. All right. Resources are becoming more and more famished, because that's what a famine is. It's not the complete lack of food and resources. Is more so a scarcity of it. Because what is Esau doing? He's harboring up resources. You see, he's harboring up the resources, man. So, with that being said, he's taking the resources, making things more and more difficult to the point where, hey, everyone's gonna have to, get it how they can. The ski mask way. And Esau, and he's over there in his castles, his bunkers, being the coward that he is, just watching from afar. He's just watching, drinking baby's blood, hey, just, man, that's why how the Lord had to take this man out. He's bloodthirsty. Esau, he has a thirst for blood. That's why he has to be stopped, because he's only going to get worse. If the Lord allowed him to rule another 100 years, he's only going to get worse. That's why he has to be taken out the way. He has to be stopped. The Lord himself has to come and get this man out of power, get this man out the way, because he won't stop. All right. As I said, he's as death, and hell follows, man. Everything he does, wherever he goes, everything he touches is just death, man. You see, man, he's a madman. He's just a madman. This man is, man, this man is the devil, man, But there is no thing of, well, this might come to America. Oh, it could get bad. Or no, man, it's coming. All right. It's coming to America real soon. Lord willing, sooner than soon. So, Lord willing, this was edifying. All praise to you, how about Shemal Shai. Shalom to you, hopefully elect.